Qlik Dork back again. Today we have got my 10th episode of a Dorkcast. For those of you who aren't familiar how important 10 is, I have 3 grandchildren who turn 10, and that is officially double digits. That's like a big deal in kids' years. So I'm going to make a big deal of the 10th Dorkcast. I've got a friend with me. Her name is Maria. And many of you have probably seen her for years and years and years and years and years, but you've never heard her name. No, you've never heard her name. Her name is Maria Oreska, and you're thinking, she looks a lot like another Maria who's a real big-time clicky. She does indeed. It's her twin sister. No, not her twin sister. Maria, you actually got married this year. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
And Maria is so committed to data, she married another data guy. And where does your husband work, Maria?
At eMark. Actually, that's the company that's implementing Qlik for the customers in Central Europe. And then where I started with Qlik as a Qlik developer. So nice. Yeah, eMark is connecting people.
So you guys met around a project. You're like, wow, I really like the way you work with data. I think I'll date you. Now, Maria, you're no longer with eMark, though. As I understand, you are with Infinity Forms, and you're actually the Chief Technology Officer. Is that right?
Correct.
Well, I'll try not to hold that against you because I write all the times about big cheeses. Just as a joke for executives in general, and please don't hold that against me that I joke about those people, but when else can I joke about big cheeses? No, but seriously, that is a very important role, and one that I can only imagine, especially in our culture, is tough for a female to be an executive. Probably not within the company. I would imagine that people understand you got there through your talent. But for others in the industry, is it awkward ever being a female executive in a high-tech marketplace?
Actually, if it's awkward for others, you should ask them. But from the first reactions I received on the calls and so on, I might say that I'm very happy that it's not. At least it doesn't feel this way. And yeah, actually, in the beginning, very often there is this reaction like, okay, and you see something like underestimation in the eyes for first few minutes or so. But in the end, after a few minutes, they will see that I know what I'm talking about. So the conversation is very fluently going to the next level. But I'm not sure whether I can connect it with my gender or that I'm young.
Okay.
So I wouldn't like to say that it's because I'm a woman in tech or because I'm young. Those are 2 different things. And the third one is that I'm CTO. And I don't think whether they are related or not. That's up to others to judge. But the one thing I would like to say about this very popular topic, women in tech, is that in the end, if you want, it really can be an advantage for you. Because when you scroll down the LinkedIn, especially in my bubble around data analytics, BI, process intelligence, and so on, there are so many posts and so many videos from guys. Then when there is a woman smiling and sharing the energy and enthusiasm, also like Elif, your colleague,
yep,
it really is extraordinary. And that's something you can use in the end.
I am so glad you've had that experience and that you have such a positive thing. And I can say my experience with you and others, I am very blessed that I do get to work with a lot of women in technology and see different viewpoints. And none of you have ever tried to play the sex card or anything. And I would respect you. no matter who you were for your ideas. I think one of the funnest things I ever got to do at a healthcare conference one time was there was a large group of women in healthcare IT who had very great opinions, very innovative. And I actually got to be invited as the only male at their luncheon they were having. And it was just wonderful. I love seeing that in data isn't sexist, right? That's not what zeros and ones are. Data has no sex or gender. Data and innovation take no shape or form other than that which we create for it. So I appreciate that. And I'm glad you've had a great experience. All right, let's get going.
Yeah, go for it.
And I got to tell you, as a friend and fellow blogger, we're both bloggers on Data on the Rocks. I admire the way you think and what you do and the responsibility that you do have. And it has been so fun, especially this year. It seems like every other week you've just got a new post out with new software. So obviously you are taking those responsibilities very high for developing. How do you come up with your ideas for what you're doing as enhancements?
First of all, thank you very much. It's really great to hear very positive feedback like that, especially from someone like you that I knew from the very first day working with Qlik, knowing you as someone who I would love to meet. And here we are. So thank you very much. And when it comes to those ideas, my ideas very often pops up in a shower. Don't know why, it is the way it is. But when it comes to our product in general, actually I did some kind of backward research for this year releases. And especially when it comes to this Writeback Infinity forms, around 85% of new functions and features were coming from partners and customers. So we really are very, very open to feedback, and not only to hear the feedback, but to really discuss and understand where it is coming from, what's the real need behind it, or what's the issue you are trying to solve. And 15% of functions and features were these really, really innovative big rocks we wanted to introduce to the world and Qlik universe. So you can keep pushing the boundaries of Qlik Sense even further.
Very cool. And I sure appreciate that. I got to tell you that Writeback form really makes things difficult for me as a Qlik evangelist to tell people exactly what it is we do. Because just when you think you've got the Qlik message down about analytics and reading and consuming data to present insights, you guys go and provide a way for people to like type stuff in and take action with that data then. Like instead of it being part of a workflow, you're making it like the workflow. That's tough for me. It's tough to keep adjusting my messaging every time you guys go and add a whole lot of features like that. So I definitely, if you can, I would love to have you show me a couple of demos of the forms so that people could see them. I like to see some of the latest and greatest, but I think one of the things that makes your forms really unique is it looks so Qlik Sense native, right? And I think I've enjoyed that. Customers that I've seen using that really appreciate. It doesn't look like it's anything different. It looks like it's just Qlik capturing data. So I want to talk about that. But I know you've got another big product that really blew me away, which was your process flow. And so everything in computers is process, right? Like we're process re-engineering, we're process mining, we're processing that, processing this, and that process flow, being able to show the context of something within the process. I think, as everybody knows, I always say context is king. And if you read my latest data artistry blog, context is king, not Bob. So
and if you don't, you definitely should. I recommend that post.
Well, thank you for the ping. I'll give you that $1 back at the end. So I'd love to see that too. Which one do you want to show first?
I think we can start with the Writeback. So we will
let's see that.
continue with the flow.
That one definitely that changes the whole game. You know, and of course we're talking a lot these days about active intelligence, driven in part through some of our acquisitions and through some of our great partners like you guys at Infinity, and what you provide to now really change the game. All right, go ahead and share your screen. Let me take a look here.
Perfect. And please let me know once you can see it. Hopefully it should be about now.
I can see it. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. It's pretty colorful, right? So yeah, on my screen, you can see actually both of the products you mentioned. On the left side, there is the Infinity flow used as a navigation here. But let's be focused on this Writeback extension, Infinity Forms, on the right side. So yeah, this is the editable table. Very clear message, I think, directly within your Qlik Sense that looks exactly like Qlik native objects, and also it behaves the same way. So when I click on president, it's selected, and it's selected everywhere else in the app.
Very cool.
Also, it works vice versa. So if I select those two cities in my Infinity Forms, in my Forms object, I see only related data because you are in Qlik. You don't want to have some other tools that might scare your users. Because honestly, I think with all the functions and possibilities you have in Qlik, especially those users who uses it only a few days a month or a few days a year, this might be really overwhelming.
So the data that they would see in a form is not just out in the data island somewhere in Qlik vernacular. It is part of the associative model.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
It's linked to the very core of Qlik Sense and where the added value of Qlik Sense's BI tool is coming from. And yeah, as you mentioned, developing Qlik native products is very important for us from the very beginning, because as I mentioned in the beginning, I was also a Qlik developer for about 5 years, first really full-time Qlik developer. So what I can assure you is that we are not developing this to be Qlik native only for end users, but also for developers and administrators. So the whole configuration of the object is here in the properties panel where you expect it, because we are in Qlik.
Yep.
And very easily, yeah, here in the data section, you already know from Qlik tables, there's a dimension or more dimensions coming from your data model. So this is how it's linked and how this all selection works. Then you can define measures the same way as you know from Qlik. And there are some really cool configuration available. But let's go to the most important part, and that's where can I define those cool editable fields? Mm-hmm. And there's nothing as easy as this is, because here is a button, add field, very intuitive, I think. I can just click on it, and you see that the new field is right here. I simply define the column name, that's the technical name, how it's going to be stored in my database, in my XML file, QBD, or whatever else data storage should be. So it can be like my new node, something unique.
That sounds exactly like the kind of thing I would have done. super creative on a day back after holiday.
Yeah, and to be sure it's unique, it can be my new node 234 or something like that.
No way! That was going to be my next field.
Yeah, so the technical name is this column name. Then there is the label, and that's exactly what is shown to user. And that's, as you, I think, know, can be very important, especially when you work with SAP or other systems where really the technical names aren't something you want to show to users, right?
Right. And one of the things I noticed there, you allow for functions in all those fields, which I think is important, because sometimes when we're being silly now, it's like, it's my new note. A lot of times I do want that note to be, I want the label to be something based on something else, possibly. So go back to the properties. What were some of the data types that you allow there?
Yeah, actually, there are quite many. So you definitely can choose from the most frequently used ones, like text, number. It can be also date with built-in date picker to really make it very easy to be used. You can use stars. That's very important and very useful, especially when you collect the feedback or some kind of importance rating or so.
And I would have never even dreamed of visualizing the data that way until I saw your blog post one time, showing the emojis. You and Christoph Brought really are creative in using emojis, not because you want to see a poop icon on the screen, because emojis can really transform things visually for users. And I thought the stars was really cool. So I like seeing that as a type that make it easy for the end user, right? Maybe they didn't find your blog post yet. They haven't read how to take this character and use the character, but that's really cool. What's some of the others there?
Yeah, so there can be also range, but when we were talking about emojis, I find them very helpful, especially in select box or the drop-down menu, as it's also called sometimes. This is the way how you easily can change the structure or column width or anything else. And when it comes specifically to select box, here is the option to define options.
Okay.
And as you can see, it's quite the approach you already know from well-known spreadsheets tools. So it will be a text separated by semicolon, but I can use emojis too. So if I want to have options in my select box like perfect, and another option that will be, I don't know, so bad.
Yeah.
I define it this way. And now you see also emojis here directly in the drop-down menu. So for end user, or the end user doesn't need to read all the full text there, because the most important information is already contained in the emoji at the beginning.
Nice. And then if we get a certain number of those during our survey period, everybody gets a new pair of sunglasses, right?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, as you might see, this is nothing else than Qlik native expression editor. So yeah, these are hard-coded options for my select box, but it can also come from a data model. Very, very easily, you can use all the functions you already know, like, for example, concat. Country is my field.
Okay.
We need semicolon as a separator, and to be sure, countries are only once there. There is this parameter distinct we can use in concat function. But this is nothing else than Qlik script, Qlik functions you can use.
Nice. Okay.
And here it is.
Too easy breezy. And I like the fact that it's interacting while you're even still in edit mode.
Yeah.
And I don't have to press done, come over. Did I do it right? Let me go back to edit mode, scroll down. I like that.
Exactly. As I mentioned, we are developing it for developers too.
Nice. And I hope you spell check and fix my misspellings while you're at it. And so I know one of the things that I ended up using it for one time, I was really shocked. I shouldn't have been shocked, but I was pleasantly shocked, I should say. I had a teammate who needed to be able to input some information and then do a calculation based on it. And so your form, you're not just capturing data. You had, like, I think you called it auto calculate or something like that was the property. Where's that property at?
Again, where you would look for it. Properties panel, right?
Okay.
So in my property panel, I can define a new field, something unique.
Okay.
And here, when you scroll down through all the attributes you are available to customize, there is a checkbox auto calculate.
Okay.
And when I enable auto calculate, as you can see, hopefully you can see it's not editable anymore.
Right.
This specific field, because it is going to be calculated from another fields you already have in your forms, and you can combine information from dimension measures as well as editable fields.
Nice.
So,
and
for example,
I used mine to be able to actually call a server-side extension because they needed to call some prediction, and what they were actually trying to do was get the sentiment analysis.
Since there is this very powerful button, I totally love about Qlik Sense, Open Expression Editor.
Yep.
You definitely can do magic with that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. So I can imagine, being the Qlik dork, that people might use this for things like budgeting, right? They're going through, they're trying to create the next year's budget based on this year's results. They type these things in, and what are the ways that you save it? Where can you save the data?
In the meantime, I will answer your question, don't worry.
Okay.
In the meantime, I opened demo.myinfinity.com. That's an online available portal containing more than 30 demo applications up to now, and hopefully it will contain even more in the future. And you can explore all of them right there. And also you can download them if you want to make them up and running in your own environment.
So
but
basically,
so
my financial planning, woohoo! I guess #1.
Okay, let me open budgeting and planning, because
wow.
as you can see, this was developed by myself. So I would rather present this one. The financial planning was developed by my husband. So maybe for your next cast, it can be a topic.
Yeah.
And here, if I want to explore the application on the portal, I can very simply by clicking open my app.
And go play with it.
And go play with it.
So you guys have your own, you got your own server here.
Yeah. Actually, it's a multi-site implementation of Qlik Sense on-prem behind it.
Okay.
Because we have also some other things that uses Qlik Sense.
All right.
And we are kind of Qlik dorks, you know.
I know that's right.
And very, very quickly, if we go to the second sheet of this application, this one is for demos, so it's also available for download, and it contains completely dummy data. So here on the sheet, you can see 2 forms objects, and okay, I have approved all of them. So let me disapprove my budget. And
so you can use it not just to capture information, but make it part of the workflow.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. And as you can see, since it isn't approved anymore, I can edit the data here. And actually, those 3 columns are nothing else than auto-calculated field we were discussing. So when I change the number here and here, you can see it's changed in total on the row level, as well as the difference is recalculated, and this status is also auto-calculated. So if I will be doing very bad,
wow,
and I see that even before I save my changes,
Yeah. That's cool. That's very, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the reason why I wanted to show that is because calculated numbers is something many people would expect from the tool like that, right? I want to see totals. Naturally, here they are. But having other field types auto-calculated, like the traffic light or this number of stars can be auto-calculated too. Why not? That's something that really opens the possibilities what you can do with the tool like that, especially for what if analysis, simulating scenarios, budgeting, planning, whatever you want.
That's I could imagine that was really cool. I've got an awful lot of healthcare background. Still talk about healthcare a lot. Love you, healthcare, wherever you may be. I noticed on your front page you had an Athena patient flow workflow. I can imagine that would be a pretty incredible, having that visual response for things in patient records. Hey, if you do this, here's what the outcome could be, right? And auto calculate some things. Hey, I'd like to prescribe this, and if something behind the scenes knows there's a
contradiction
that is likely to render a readmission for this patient, or an adverse reaction, something could light up like that. That would be cool. What I see now is another super creative use, and this is one of the things I think, since I first saw one of your posts on COVID and the way you had used a gray screen with nothing else in the scatter plot, to show this is the rest of the world not affected, trying to encourage people to focus on those that they knew they loved, maintain their humanity. And I wish there was a whole lot more of that graph for the last 2 years, because I think we've tended to lose that humanity. But I won't get too emotional here. At the bottom of the screen, that looks like your process flow, but you're not showing you're showing a process, but this is really kind of a help text, helping people know what that flow is supposed to be, what's going to be happening. How did it get to me? Who's it going to go on to? Doesn't take up a lot of real estate. I'm not seeing numbers, but it's really almost like pretty picture pages for my help book. Right? Nobody wants to read help. If you made a help tab, nobody's probably reading it, but that is a really creative use to try to get visual help of what's going on, so that people would know, hey, if you're here on this page, here's where you're at, here's how it got here, here's where it's going. Very creative. I can't wait to see other examples of the process flow. But before we jump,
I promised one answer.
Pardon?
I don't forget.
Where can this data be saved?
Yes, that's exactly the one I promised to answer. So the data from Infinity Forms can be saved to XML files, can be saved to QEDs, can be saved to database tables, and what's specifically supported is MS SQL, MySQL, MariaDB, Postgre, but also Snowflake, Hive, and so on. But in general, all databases that support JDBC driver should be working fine with Infinity Forms. So it really is a wide range of options you can use. And that's not all, because from, I think, Infinity Forms 8.0 or so, we also support REST integration. So you can send the data to your SaaS softwares like Jira or something like that. So it's really only up to you.
Very, very cool. And I noticed, I didn't notice it before while you were typing changes. It looks like your save and update buttons have gone red to let the user know, hey, you didn't press save here.
Yes, exactly.
And unlike when I'm editing an app, it auto saves at times. Since this is really you're taking action to change data, you really do want the user to have to say, I want you to save this.
Exactly. And actually, it doesn't auto-save the data for you, because that should be your decision, especially with things like that.
Yep.
This is more like simulation before I decide this is something that I want to save.
Right. Yeah.
But even if despite these red buttons, you are about to go somewhere else, as you can see, there is this message reminding you have unsaved changes.
Wow. So you guys tie into the API somehow to let them know, hey, you've got some changes that need to be saved. That is so cool. You guys have kind of thought of everything.
Okay, I can go. Yeah, it's not only the Writeback. Definitely, it's connected to your Qlik Sense. It utilizes all the powers of Qlik Sense, like the server-side extension functions. It can be integrated by using REST with other softwares. It also utilizes what the browser can do for you, like this message. So yeah, it's much more than just editable table.
Nice. And I liked your pretty pictures of personas there. I've got less budget than you do. I had to just be my own different personas last time for my personas video for Qlik application automation. Maybe I should have used these. Should have invested in these guys to be my 3 different personas.
Yeah, so this is the Infinity flow you have seen also on the previous screen, because the way I think it's quite helpful to be used in all the Qlik applications in the end is to really provide the user the information how to think about the flow of the app.
Okay.
Because me as a developer, I know how I develop that.
Yeah.
So it's quite clear to me how it works. And but to the user and to the new users, especially, it might be very, very overwhelming, especially if there aren't 4 sheets, but 20 and without screenshots there. So it's only about,
the title,
this there. And actually this one is quite simple. It was one of the first flows I have used for these purposes. But when I come back to this HR app, you can see that I was a bit more creative here. So again, the same logic, the same reason, but exactly you see where you are right now. This is the sheet where I am.
Okay.
I can go to another sheet by clicking.
So it's not just showing you where you're at as a story of a flow. That is like your context menu.
Exactly. And now I'm on the recruitment part. And again, I see this highlighted here. So this is the way how I can navigate throughout the application, but still knowing the context, how it was meant. And when I want to go to introduction, I can. Why not? And actually here on this introduction sheet, I really want to show you something. Can I?
You can.
Okay, thank you. So here, Infinity Flow is not only the navigation. We know that navigation, we already know that navigation can be very helpful, especially in large applications, but it also provides the possibility to keep you focused. And when I click here on this button, Theme Overview, as a manager, I see the one master visualization, one at a time. So I know what I should be focused on right now. And we are still in Qlik. This is nothing else than Qlik map object.
Okay.
So I can select these cities, for example, because I see there is no blue color there, right? So no one from product team is there. I want to explore it more. I can make selections. As you can see, it's done in the whole app again, because it's still the same data model. And I click next. Please select a currency. How often people don't see this option somewhere on the screen if it's like this small.
Right.
But here it's one thing at a time. There is no way how I can ignore that right now. So I'll change it to dollars because I'm now interested in America. I click next. I see another data information related to my selections. And as you can see, it's in dollars. So it's like visual custom report flow wizard, or how you would call that.
See, you don't even know how to name it. You're creating such a chaos.
I love it, flow wizard. It's not it's chaos for us who knows all these terms and all these names, but for end users, this is simplicity.
This is
I see one thing at a time.
That's, we've had the term guided analytics since QlikView. And we think that means, hey, you're going to look at this screen, then you're going to look at this screen, then you're going to look at this screen. This is very hand-holding for those users inputting things who may not be, they might not be Qlik dorks for some reason. They're not bleeding green, gray, or white. We're trying to move them towards that, obviously, but this is really, I hadn't seen this use. This is very nice. So each of these is a master item. And then you've got like a list, that flow that you want to go through, that's a guided workflow, and you're capturing information.
Exactly.
So this is like, now you're making Qlik a CRM system. Only it's like really pretty and it's guided. Wow.
Much better, because there is still the associative model behind it. And with all the functions on SaaS, what I'm showing you is already available also for SaaS. So with all the Qlik application automation and the new functions every single Tuesday, you definitely can build almost everything you need. And actually you described how it works very, very well and precisely, because again, it's in the properties panel, as all developers would expect. And here is the section actions that contains the list of actions that are going to be done.
Okay. And
I can also play with some conditions that, for example, this master visualization will be open when you click here, but won't be open when you click here.
Okay.
Anything you want to do.
I love it. And I saw open website. So you have like an HTML link or something.
I want to know more. I click here. It opens.
But you obviously, you're capturing like a URL. And so I could include application automation, because if I go into application automation and say, hey, I want to trigger this automation, I get the URL, including the token handed to me on a silver platter. I paste it in there, and so I would be prompted for all my inputs, and then I could go to that URL. I'm assuming your URL could be formula, so I could keep tagging on my parameters that I've accepted as input by you guys. Holy cow. Yeah, see, now I've got to drop everything else I had to do. Fortunately, my boss Hugo is off this week. He won't see why I absolutely did nothing. He'll just come back next week and know Dalton did nothing. And then he'll see this at that point and know, but at least I'll get it done. That is really, really cool. None of this is what I liked about process flow up front. Can you show me the flow where it is a process and there's numbers involved? Like, I want to say, this process isn't working, we've got a bottleneck.
Yeah, so let me come back to this portal. And one of my favorite applications is the support ticket process. It's quite...
a lot of organizations that have to deal with support tickets.
Yeah, or something similar. And actually, the support ticket process is quite easy to understand. Actually, I think this may be similar as patient flow, because we all were there on one of the sites. So here you see Infinity Flow to visualize, it's visualizing the support ticket process. So there is incident reported. Someone needs to check it, whether it's a support request or it isn't. I can assure you there are so many things going to support that aren't support requests. So you need to categorize that and set it's closed, it's invalid ticket. But if it is a support ticket request, it needs to be assigned to a person who is going to solve that. Naturally, there can be first reaction information. Sometimes you might need some additional information needed, so you need to ask customer for additional information, send solution, and if it's solved, everyone is happy. And here you see those steps of the process highlighted that have at least one support ticket active in now. Okay, that was a really strange way how to say it. But let me select ticket number 3, for example. So I see that ticket number 3 is in this stage of the process, but I still see this context of the whole process.
Right.
Power of gray, right? I still see what I don't have selected. In this case, the process. And I can switch here from current stage to full process. This is nothing else than Qlik native buttons with variables behind it. So again, creativity within Qlik itself.
Right.
And when I switch to full process, I see the full path this ticket went to.
To get to where I am now. Okay.
Yeah. So here it is pretty clear, naturally. But if you have more complex processes where you really can come to the same point in the process by going through different paths, this is what you need to completely understand what happened.
Very nice. That's I've done a lot in the past with sand keys. I love sand keys for showing flow. That's a very cute way of doing this, a similar thing, and especially with process mining, knowing how did we get here, and if I could see visually that I got here to this this non-desirable stage by taking this path over and over and over, I know I probably should take another path. Yeah, and
very, you can cool. Make this visualization even more clear because you can define line width by expression. So it can be really, really wide if it's the most frequent path, for example.
Right.
As you can see, you can have some labels. There can be also measures there. And when I switch to penalties, the last part of this, I also see another very important thing that this process visualization can bring to me, because I see the bottlenecks of the process. Support, naturally, have some deadlines until when you need to solve the ticket. Otherwise, there are some penalties.
Right.
Also, there are some penalties for first reaction limit.
Okay.
You can't just let it be somewhere in your support software, like it is going to solve itself. No. So when you connect the information in your data model about the company, about the support ticket, about the penalty, these limits, you can easily calculate the possible penalties you are facing right now.
Okay.
And for example, here, you see that invalidity check. Let me maybe zoom it a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, it's still calculated. But here I see that in validity check, I am facing $70,000 penalties right now. So as a manager, that's what I am sure it has to be solved today.
Right. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
And
so context
you use an awful lot of color in your table, which I love. It brings it off the screen. But if you took the color out of that top table, it doesn't look any different than that table on the lower right, which I'm assuming is just a plain straight table. Same font choices, same sizes. So you use color to make certain things come alive. I love your customer names.
Thank you. I think the hardest part of preparing any demo is to create dummy data.
I'm going to have to tell Christoph to watch this because I've never seen him use emojis for animals to represent the customer names. I'm going to tell him he's slacking. He's got to get back on his emoji game now. This is very, very cool. What version are you at now with the Writeback and with the process flow?
When it comes to the Writeback, it's nothing else than 10. So it's the
double
perfect
digits.
timing.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 10, and do you have a few more minutes? I would like to show the biggest rock of this release very, very quickly.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So you may notice already, but if you don't, there is this thing, this cool thing, giving me information about who else is currently working with the same editable table at the same time. So it is a real-time collaboration in your Qlik apps.
So this means somebody, so Thomas is out in has another session where he's on a screen using that same form.
Yeah.
And he is, and obviously he has now got that row locked.
Yeah, actually I'm Thomas naturally on another screen.
Oh, you're Thomas. You're Thomas on another screen. You got, oh my gosh.
You know, I'm changing my names very frequently.
Changing your names.
Yeah, so as you may notice, I don't need to refresh the object or do anything. It's done automatically. So I'm informed about all the people who are working with the very same data, like I am right now. And when someone is editing a row, it's locked for the person. So you don't need to worry about having it used by hundreds of concurrent users or something.
That is real-time collaboration.
Exactly. And now
can you click on the user? Can you click on the user icon and reach out and smack them and say, let go of that record? I've got lunch in 5 minutes. I need to finish. Probably not yet. That's the next release.
Not yet. But 2022 will bring a lot of innovation.
Oh, talk to me. Now I can't wait. I was going to enjoy New Year's. Now I'm just going to be waiting until your next video comes out or something, Maria.
Yeah.
Well, this is fantastic.
I think I was talking quite a lot, but I know you have played with Infinity Flow forms too, but especially with Infinity Flow, you had this really nice example. Yeah.
So I used it more like you did at the end there, showing the support ticketing, but more the process flow for supply chain. So we've been doing a lot with SAP and trying to help our customers have accelerators. So we read the data, bring the data along, model the data, warehouse the data, put them in data marts, build an application screen. And one of the things we got to was orders to cash and trying to find, hey, where's our bottleneck? Why aren't we getting paid? Well, an awful lot of times, orders like, I'm missing 3 of these widgets. I'm missing 2 of those widgets, these things, in the Acme plant. And I was able to visualize all of the different orders and show what stages they were at. So you could say, geez, why aren't I getting paid on this $1 million? Well, the shipments got split into 6 and 1 is now at a bottleneck, right? We've shipped it, but we haven't billed that piece of it, or we haven't notified anybody or something, right? So for supply chain, things can get lost anywhere in the mix without a human doing something, right? So you're
answering $1 million questions.
Every single one was at least $1 million.
Sounds like that.
So yeah, I could have made the numbers anything I wanted. It was test data. They were all big numbers. But yeah, I loved it because I am big on context, right? And I'm big on the fact that I really believe Qlik is unique with our associative engine, that we can load all kinds of disparate data, right? And you're not going to get the answers to pull your company out of the mire by looking at one table in one spreadsheet. Like that's silly, right? The billing isn't isolated to just billing. It's part of an entire orders to cash process. So I need to visualize that process to see where the problems are. So I loved being able to use it to visualize that, because otherwise I've just got 85 bar charts on a screen, and maybe the end user finds the problem and maybe the end user doesn't. And I'd like, if I can make it visual and I can make it colorful, I can, here's your bottleneck, here's your bottleneck, here's your bottleneck. So it was really cool to be able to say, hey, I've got 7 have made it, here's 2 that are stuck, right? So I used it for that. I'm working on an application now for our own internal team. And it started very easy, as all analytics reporting projects do. And then it's, I need a screen for this, and I need a screen for that, and I need a screen for this. I think that would be being able to help people by showing them kind of a flow and show user personas that I could really help my team cut to the chase, right? My boss's boss needs all of it. Some of our partner managers who work, super closely with partners like you, they need to jump into those screens, right? And that would help them a lot. So I need to go back and update my screen. Totally my idea. I did not get it from anybody else anywhere in the world. My pure idea. So yeah, that's going to help a lot. And kind of half joking, at the start, the fact that you've got that flow and the writeback, that changes the game. Like you can't really say that application you showed is an analytics app. It's a CRM type system, right? You're collecting data to make it part of the flow. You're augmenting that workflow app with analytics and helping me make the right decision of what to do next.
And have all the important information to get insights directly at the same tool. So you don't need to click between different windows or different softwares. You have it all there where you have the data. And
when I can imagine now an application where I'm bringing this in, I use your form for some what ifs. I pass that on to an auto calculate to make a prediction. And I take that prediction and I make it prescriptive with a link for an automation. This is the action we think you should take. Press this button if you'd like to, right? And I don't want to automate it because I need that human mind to augment the data science behind it. But I could really see that, like you calling data science as an auto calculate on a row by row basis, right? And giving me a prediction and making it prescriptive with another button that's call this automation to go take this action. Or based on what you write back, Qlik application automation could be looping through that data source, looking for changes and looking for new records. It comes across it and it automates it behind the scenes either way. If I know I have 1,000% match and I want to automate that, I can let application automation just loop and automate it. But depending on what my risk factors are, if it's like in the healthcare space, if it's a risk to a patient and the score is 85%, hey, that's great, but I'm not doing that automatically. Some human in the loop is going to say, okay, this is what we believe you should take to avoid a readmission, but I'm going to record that you were the one that pressed it.
Yeah, someone needs to take responsibility.
If it's something for the business and 85% is fine, I can automate that then. So I can, I mean, you're just, but how do you describe that application? You're killing me. Like me and you could come up with a nice 95-word sentence that would say what these things do. The marketing people's heads would be spinning. Like, you can't say that. Nobody's going to remember that. Like, okay, well, what do you call it? And they're going to say, I don't know. So
but that's up to them. We can do the ideation part. And
yeah,
it needs to be someone who translates it.
That's not one of our roles and responsibilities.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Maria, I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate what you bring to the community in creativity and passion. You're constantly just producing more and more and more and pushing the boundaries. I love that it's not, you're not getting ideas from me of what you could do. You're listening to customers. You're listening to other partners that say, hey, we really could have this, we'd like to have that. And you guys, you don't make it an afterthought. You make it look so natural and native to Qlik's. Just really love what you guys are doing. Please share my appreciation with everybody else on the team. I know that you're the pretty Santa on the page doing this with me, but there's an awful lot of people behind the scenes doing the work 25 hours a day sometimes, probably.
At least equivalent
to make things happen.
Those
so
really
thank you.
Masterminds.
And I know that you're going to let me know first when you've got that real-time collaboration where you can actually talk to those other users that you see that are using the form. I think that's going to be an incredible feature.
Actually, it's already released, so you can download it from our webpage. But I'll share the link with you and feel free to play.
So I was like, while we're talking, you're releasing this new version. I thought you were saving that for next year.
No, it was already released at the end of December. I think we
gotcha.
2 weeks
you
ago.
Just didn't have it in that app. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that being able to have real-time collaboration is crazy. That how do you call that app now? So you made it even worse. So well, I appreciate you. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas with your husband. And hope you guys get to celebrate the new year. I'm sure it's with a list of things that you guys are both going to accomplish. The data world is better for a union like yours. And I look forward to seeing you next year. For everybody else out there, hope you've enjoyed Dorkcast number 10, my double digits episode. Take care.
Thank you very much.